Other kids. So my next dream, I'm putting it out in the universe. All right, we're manifesting. Is that I have this dream to create something called Neon High Art Ranch. And it is not only a place for some of these sculptures to come to, and that people can experience the awe that comes from standing at the base of a 2 and 3 story high art sculpture, but there's also a meditation studio on site to experience what it's like to get rid of all the noise and really get in touch with ourselves. And there's also, of course, an art studio so that we can get wild and throw paint. And an integral part of my vision for this art ranch is bringing kids, in particular low-income kids, to have them come out and experience nature, to experience art, and to get exposed to meditation and quiet and joy and creativity at a young age. Because I just think, oh my gosh, I didn't even begin to think that I was an artist until I was 30. Imagine if I had been told that you don't have to be a good pencil sketcher to be called an artist when I was 12.
Yeah. Oh wow, so many things to talk about. Well, one is the only person who can give you the label of artist is yourself, right? So like, no matter what you do, if you don't call yourself an artist, nobody else will.
Mm-mm.
Like,
own that.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I'm feeling it now. Thanks for saying that.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. I mean, as a kid, I took art classes and, I couldn't draw a deer. And so I thought I was a bad artist.
See?
Right?
Oh my gosh.
And didn't, so I feel like that's the avenue that a lot of people, or like they have one, they're only exposed to something once and it turns out to be a negative experience. Like I've had plenty of friends who like have taken one dance class that was where everyone else was like expert level in a beginner class. And they're like, oh no, I don't dance because of that one time. And it's like, well, that's not the whole world of dance. Like you can go and be a beginner. So I feel like, yeah, I love that you're helping people find exposure. And I would imagine that if it's going to be open to low income kids, then there'd be like ways for them to make it part of their life. Right. So that's wild. That's I love that. Wow.
It's a dream.
Yeah.
It's a dream. I think it will come true. I believe it will come true. I can see the place. I can imagine myself there. I can imagine these kids leaving and the trajectory of their lives being altered as a result of this really positive experience.
Yes. Have you heard of binaural beats?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you have thoughts on them?
Well, I mean, as a person with ADD to some degree, I don't normally listen to binaural beats when I'm working. The lo-fi, especially the Lush lo-fi playlist on Spotify. I'm looking at you. It's like that's where I can like enter the zone.
Oh wow.
But my understanding is that binaural beats stimulates both sides of the brain. Is that accurate?
Yeah, and it can alter like your brain's frequency. So like I started binaural beats when they weren't sure if it was real.
Oh, you were the experimental version.
Like there was like one app, it had 5 different beats, and it was like cure a headache, find focus, go to sleep, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't care if it works for me. I don't care if it's real.
Oh, you felt it right away.
Yeah. And now there's actually been science, like if you listen to it the same frequency for 7 minutes, it can change your frequency. So like I use it for everything, especially when I'm like on a walk or working out. I've totally will help. Like if I'm like I have anxious thoughts, but I want to think about work or something, then I can put on like a consciousness one, or there's ones for like whole being generation, just like so much. It's such a great tool to have. And Yeah. So I love that. But I've never talked with like someone who's more of a mental health professional to about it, you know. Oh yeah. But
Enthusiast,
yeah.
soon to be professional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, your work and your books and stuff, I would say that makes you a professional. Maybe not like uh, qualified to speak on it in a law, in a
Court of law.
courtroom,
Yeah.
but in everyday life, like you've done research, you have like experiences, like
Oh man, I feel like by the time I finished my first book,
yeah,
I felt like I did enough work and research into psychology that I had the equivalent of a master's degree in my own mind.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But now I'm going to get the actual one, get some letters
Yeah.
after my name, see if people will take me seriously. Not just joking.
Yeah.
Half joking. I mean, it's true. I mean, that is
Yeah.
part of the reason that I mean, even me, I'm so like, be an artist, do what you want. And I do have a lot of freedom in my life, but I still am beholden to some of these societal mores that, and sense of imposter syndrome that we all have. Like,
Sure.
oh my God, another reason why I'm getting the master's is because, oh, it will be cool to have some letters after my name. And maybe there will be some people that will now, let me onto their stage that maybe wouldn't have before, and maybe I'll respect myself a little bit more. Again, we're getting into territory of like, should I be getting self-respect and self-worth out of a piece of paper from society? Like, no. Am I aware of that? And is that where most of my self-worth is coming from? No. And I'm working on finding that intrinsic sense of self-worth. And the reality is, like, actually I went into a really deep depression last year, especially in the second half of last year. And nothing really happened. I mean, some aspects of my life were suboptimal, but there was no big tragedy. And one of the things that I realized, and this was around the time that, I don't know if you know what Meow Wolf is, but the one of the co-founders of Meow Wolf committed suicide. I think we're in September. This is Suicide Awareness Month. Let's talk about this.
Sure.
Which is that one of the co-founders of Meow Wolf committed suicide, or chose to end their lives, actually, is what we say now, as well as an artist that I really respect. And then shortly after that was when Twitch, Ellen's DJ and the very talented musician, also opted to do the same. And I just saw these people, and this was at a time that I was like, I want to be successful. I'm feeling not worthy because I'm not at the level that I want to be. And I saw these people who are at the level that I want to be, and they're clearly not doing well if they're choosing to end their lives. Right. And so I began this deep study at the end of last year, looking at where does our self-worth come from? Like, really trying to hone in on where my self-worth comes from. And is it from pleasing my parents, or doing what I think society wants me to do, or being who I think I should be? And can I feel worthy if I never speak on another stage, never make $1 million, and never write another book? Can I feel worthy if I bring soup to my neighbor when she's sick? Right? Like, is that good enough? And so then that really got me thinking about how if you are a person who wants to have success in your life, that if we don't do the self-worth work to discover our true intrinsic value separate from our achievements, that if you're a person who is on the path to success, all you're doing is getting positive feedback about how your achievements are the best part about you. And so that just gets reinforced and reinforced and reinforced until you get to a high level of success and you just feel empty. Because you're like, oh, everybody loves me for what I do. Nobody cares about who I am. And so that's where I realized that I have a lot of work to do in terms of my self-worth, to build up my intrinsic self-worth, that Kate is a cool person just because I'm Kate. And that I'm cool as long as I'm nice to people, and I'm cool as long as I'm loving, and I have a desire to be a more loving and patient and kind person. And I'm still working on it. It's absolutely a work in progress, and I mess up every day. But if you're questioning where your self-worth comes from, I encourage you to do the work now, because I think it doesn't necessarily automatically get better. It's not to say we're going to end up wanting to end our lives, but that we should be working to fill ourselves with what really matters about us, as opposed to just spending all of our time chasing after these achievements and get caught up in it like I did.
Yeah, so like intrinsic self-worth versus
Extrinsic, yeah.
Right.
Like achievements versus who you are. Like how the corner of your eye crinkles up when you smile. Like that's really unique. That's really a beautiful aspect of you. The way you talk, the way you love, all of those things. Those are part of our intrinsic value.
Mm. Yeah. My therapist talks a lot about the human being versus the human doing, and that every human being is perfect and special and whole and complete. It's just that sometimes the human doing doesn't go with what the human being wants.
Mm-hmm.
And like how to right size those two things.
Well said by the therapist.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, she's great.
The human being versus the human doing.
Yeah.
And we get caught up in the doing and focusing on improving the doing as opposed to appreciating and building up the bees, the human bees.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.